Good morning.
Morning.
Hey. All right, can everybody hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, does anybody want to hear the music one more time?
No,
Oh,
it was enough.
that was a timid no. I'll play it again.
Oh, no.
All right, people checked in. Thanks everybody for coming. I know it's a snow day here at the Portland office. It's not sticking to the ground, but it's coming down. All right. Very good. All right, let's get started. And it's March 8th, 2023. Let's talk real estate. The end of winter and the beginning of spring, this is a critical time to discuss the never-ending importance of role play and practice, which is what we do here. We're going to do a little bit of it today. We do it every morning at 9 o'clock. This allows us to change our behavior and therefore change our results. We have to think about connecting the dots, which is to understand that our commitment to role play and practice and developing our skills is the determining factor on how quickly we can change our sales behaviors and increase production. The slower we change our behavior, the longer it takes to increase productivity. So what we do here is changing our behavior. What we do by drilling on these things and going through these programs. It's also a good time to acknowledge the importance of strengthening our mindset every day. Yes, developing our skills every day, and most importantly, making the commitment to taking action every day versus taking action on the days that you feel like it. I think that's called discipline. As we all know, the people who take action every day always have the best chance, and that's us. You have the best chance. You have the right skills and the mindsets to have a great rest of the year, no matter how it started. It can be a great year, and it's going to be a great year. So remember, there's a lot of business to be done. And then that's really quickly, we have a guest this morning. Good morning. Let me just run through a couple of things, which we, while people are still coming in. Let's look at our listings. And we must have sold some listings. Let's see, we're at 21, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 28 listings today, which is down, which is actually good that it's down, which means they're not, tucked away for the winter. They're actually selling. Anything new? Anything anybody would like to share? Any new closings? I saw a lot of closings in the last couple of weeks.
Yes. I closed one Friday. New buyer. And let's see. Kevin listed one yesterday. It's not showing up on here, but it will be by the end of the day, I'm sure.
Okay.
We have a closing by Pat. Pat Wilcott closed a property yesterday. Doug Curillo is continually bringing pending contracts. So he has another one that he's representing a buyer on, and that went pending as well. And Nyath is getting a lot of business as well. Her listings are getting offers. And yeah, everyone's working in Portland.
Everybody's working. Everybody is working. Let's have a look at our new neighborhood. I want to drive out there and see that. Our new neighborhood in Madras. And what does this say? Newly listed in Longview. Is this a new listing in Longview?
It is a new listing in Longview. Kim had a new listing this week, and I know she's gotten several offers already, so that's a good sign.
Okay. That's really
Yeah.
okay. You know what?
It's well priced.
The price doesn't hurt. Price doesn't hurt. But it's the yellow door is going to sell that house.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
They did it on the side door too. That's a good idea.
We had a closing, I guess Jeff had a closing in Idaho and Caldwell.
Good. Good. All right. All right. We the 121 in Orlando has wrapped up. It was actually a very good attendance. We were all worried about it. The market is down. Companies are having to cut costs, which is why we missed it for the first time in a very long time. But it did wrap up. It had good attendance, had over 2,000 people in Orlando. And so what I have here as the next company sponsored event is the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat, July 18th through 21. That's 4 days in Las Vegas. Shauna, you've been to that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I went the first time. I was so surprised at how much information I got from it in such a short time. It was, for the money you spend, it is probably the best conference that I've gone to for the money, especially. It's just really informative. It's not just him talking. He also has people sharing that are in the business, and it's very structured, and you can follow along pretty well. Nice.
Yeah, we had a great time. Where is it? You know Vegas pretty well.
It's at the Caesars Forum. It's a brand new place there. It's by the Link and Caesars Palace, like right between them. But it's closer on, what is that, the north side? Anyway, you can walk. I've gone and stayed at the one that's connected, where you don't even have to go outside, which is nice when it's really hot. But I've also stayed at the Venetian and walked, and which was nice because you do it earlier in the day and it's not quite hot enough to make a difference. So get lots of steps in.
Yeah. It's July, so it does get hot.
Yep.
I do remember that from the last couple of them. So anyway, we had a great time. It's 4 days, and it is packed with information. Absolutely worth going to. So do consider that. Put that on your calendar. It's also not particularly expensive. It's about half the price of the Century 21 and 121 convention.
Yeah, exactly. It's not expensive at all. And if you can find good deals, I think the Link is under $100 a night. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, they have rooms reserved in the Link next door.
And Harrah's.
And Harrah's. There's 2 hotels next door that are modestly priced. And then, of course, Caesars is across the street. Right? A lot of nice stuff across the street.
Yeah, there is. The Bellagio. Cheryl stayed there one time. Yeah.
Yes, I stayed at Bellagio.
Yes, we know.
It was great fun for one time.
Yes, thank you. And you let us visit. That was all right. Thank you. Pablo Ruiz with American Home Shield. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, what's going on?
Perfect. Is it okay for me to share my screen?
Please do. Let me give you permission to do that.
Thanks. While we're getting that set up, I see a lot of new faces and a lot of ones that I already work with and familiar with. But for those new ones, just so you know who I am, my name is Pablo. I am your American Home Shield rep. I cover the state of Oregon and the Vancouver area. It's funny, we brought up MFO for the Superstar Retreat. Just a little bit about me. I used to actually work for Mike Ferry out in Las Vegas for 2 years.
Really?
Absorbing everything he teaches. My office was literally 2 doors down from Mike, and so that was pretty cool.
What's he really like?
Oh goodness, he is busy. He's so busy. Like if he's walking down the hall with iPads, responding to emails, he's constantly he's working all the time. It's amazing. But I bring that up because it's helped me transition into my real estate career. I was a broker out in Las Vegas for a little over 4 years. And then I moved up here to the Portland area and broker for about a month before this American Home Shield opportunity came across my way. And ever since then, I've been in this position for a little over 2 years now. So it's just good to know that I'm here to be a part of your team. Whenever you have issues with escrow, anything of that nature, and you need a home warranty or you have more information, odds are I've been in your shoes. I understand a lot of scenarios that have gone on. So I really am here to help you and take as much as I can off your shoulders. I'm going to share with you today, a lot of you that have been using us, we're going to have a update to our plans come March 15th. So that's one of the main reasons I wanted to jump on the call today, is to make sure that a lot of you were aware of the changes. And then if you have any questions, or maybe we haven't had the opportunity to work together yet, I welcome you to give me a call, give me an email. I'd love to connect so that way we can discuss the plans in more detail and go into more. But I want to keep my time short as possible so I don't eat up a lot of your meeting time today. So new plans go into effect March 15th. As we know, the past few years, inflation's been really hitting just the nation, right? Now, the contractor side of things, with home improvement, general contractors, gas, it's all gone up, mainly labor and appliances. I'm not sure if you may or may not know, but I saw a stat for last year. And appliances, it's pretty remarkable. Appliances in general, retail wise, they went up 23% as just across the board. So if you had a refrigerator you were looking at, say it was like $750, that same refrigerator, 2023, they're selling back like $900 to $1,000. So just
$14.49. I bought one yesterday.
Yes, and I bought a house in December and I had to get the kitchen 30 years old, if you can imagine. So I had to get all new units, and I had to personally run across this too. So I can speak from personal experience as well. It's remarkable, but we've kept our prices down, and we have a slight increase from last year and current year. That's going to take into effect on the 15th, but they've kept it extremely minimal, guys. It's only a 9% increase across the board. So if you're already familiar with using us, for example, a Shield Essential plan is $400. It's going to be $425. So it's nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking, but just want to make sure if you are already using us, just be aware, and just that way you're not misquoting clients after the 15th. So what's changing? I made this really quick graphic for you so you can just see what's going on with the plans. But long story short, we actually just added the term per agreement term to our contracts. So it makes it very easy for you to explain to clients, and it's very easy for clients to understand when they're looking at what they have. So for the HVAC coverage, we get to cover their HVAC systems, furnace, their AC, their water heater, all the main expensive items. We have industry leading $15,000 per system per agreement term. That's going to be across the board with all three plans. Okay. As comparison, I've seen from other warranties, it's like $3,000. I've seen one that had a $500 cap. So I bring that up because we are really priced to be used and to help your client. Appliance coverage limits, the completes and the Shield Plus have stayed the same. We have 7,000 on the complete, so 4,000 on the plus. Modification permits and code violations. This is huge, guys. This really comes into play with modifications. The Shield Complete plan does have that coverage built in. The Shield Plus and Essential, I don't have any modification coverage, but they do have a $250 coverage in case a permit needs to be pulled, for example. Roof leak repair is still the same. That's included in the Shield Complete plan, and it is available as an add-on. That does $1,000 per agreement term. And that gets your client coverage for identification and patching of any leaks in the roof. Now, this isn't roof insurance, so it's not like a shingle or tile coverage, but it saves your client a lot of money if it's a small leak that just needs to get patched and they don't want to contact their homeowner's insurance. If that's the case, insurance, as we know, you put a claim in, what happens next year? The deductibles go up, the premiums go up. So this is one good way to help with that budget protection. Now, one thing I do want to highlight here is the one main change. We've noticed with the Shield Complete plan currently, we have the rekey service that's included for the Shield Complete. That has been changed to our HVAC tune-up service is going to be free. They're going to have one included in each agreement term. Okay? We were finding that our clients were using the tune-up, and we saw a lot more value add with the service. Personally, I got a flyer in the mail on Monday. The HVAC tune-up service, everything, they were trying to come do like a 21-point service that we even do, but just out in the general public, they were charging $290 on that one. So it's nice to see that you have one included in each plan, and your clients that are outside of the Shield Complete, they can utilize that as well. And it's just a flat $100 per unit, which is really handy. The last two things I want to touch base on is seller's coverage limit. That is still the same. Nothing's changed with seller's coverage. The cap for that is $1,500. However, that is still American Home Shield's pricing. So that goes a long way, guys. I've seen water heaters, furnaces, I've seen those be replaced. Full new units with that same coverage. So it goes a long way. And then last, that service fee, it did go from $100 to $125. Now, just to kind of FYI, we were the last states in the nation to go to 125. So we've just been lagging at 100 for a while. They just brought us up to keep us all the same nationwide with the same contracts for a lot of the states. But if it's helpful to know, that trade service fee goes straight to a contractor. So that pays for their time, their gas, just the entire process of just replacing a unit. That's usually all that a customer has to pay, which is really good. What's not changing? The livable, forgivable coverage. All the plans that we have are still top-notch, ready to be used. The key things I like to highlight here, guys, is what really makes American Home Shield different. You know, we cover for normal wear and tear no matter the age of the unit, which is huge. We cover for rust and corrosion and sediment, which is huge out here in the Pacific Northwest, as you can imagine. And on top of that, we also cover for undetectable pre-existing breakdowns. That's something that a lot of warranty companies kind of hide behind as pre-existing. We understand that your homeowner's not in the crawl space every week checking for leaks, right? So we're not going to punish them for something in that regard. We're going to make sure that we're there to help them when they need us most. Lastly, I just wanted to highlight, we do have those extra add-ons. A lot of agents I'm noticing kind of pick a plan and go straight to submitting the order. Keep in mind, there are a couple add-ons that might make sense to your clients. We've touched on the roof leak repair. Electronics protection plan has gotten much cheaper, actually. It's only $168 for the year, and that covers your client for everything outside of a cell phone. So this is huge for those houses that have like built-in home theater systems, mounted TVs. The computers are actually covered within this, which is nice, and a lot of gaming consoles are covered too. So if those break down, it's one way to protect them. Well and septic is pretty big out here, so if they have that, we have coverage. The guest unit, I get a lot of questions about. So if you have an ADU on the property, we can cover that. The only stipulation is that the ADU is up to 750 square feet. If they have an ADU that's 1,500 square feet, we can cover that, but it's still, at that point, it's pretty much a single family residence, right? So we're just gonna have to put another single family coverage home on that. We've touched on the HVAC tune-up, but just know that that's there for both the AC and the furnace. And then make sure that your clients are utilizing the rekey service if they have it. The rekey service is a really good tool, not only to teach the client that they have a home warranty, but more importantly, how to submit a claim when they need us the most. So day one, once you close escrow, they can put a claim in for a rekey. All they have to pay is the trade service fee. And we get a contractor out there to rekey the home up to 6 locks around the house. And our contractor will give the homeowner 4 identical keys for those. That way we're confident they are the only ones with the key. It's a security thing and making sure they have peace of mind when they lock up. Outside of that, I do want to wrap this up. Just want to make sure that you guys know this is my phone number and email address. I am here for you. I used to be an ex-agent. I know when you call me, I need to help you. So I pick up the phone. I'm here to help. Just please reach out to me if there's ever anything that you need from the home warranty standpoint. And for those that work with me, you know I have your back. So thank you so much for having me today. Is there any questions that you folks have on the call currently? If not, I can go through them one-on-one as well.
Questions? I had a question about the rekey. What is it about? What does that cost the client?
Good question. So it's the same way as submitting a claim. So currently it's going to be $100 trade service fee. Once we get to the 15th, it's going to be $125. But that's all inclusive of what they have to pay. If you never had to have that on the outside like a vendor, it's usually like $150 to $200 to get a contractor out there to do that. So it does save them money, but more importantly, it teaches them how to use the warranty. So that way, 2-3 months down the line, if their furnace breaks, they know how to use it versus calling you going, hey, I know you brought up this home warranty thing. What is it? You know, so it's a really good tool to utilize in both regards.
Good.
From what I saw, absolutely.
Anything else?
Okay.
I could tell that.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we should have your brochures in the branch. I know they're in the Portland branch. Let's make sure we have them everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Come over to you guys. That way they're ready for the new launch.
Good. All right. Thank you. Okay, let me get my world back together here. And okay, there we go. All right. Let's get back to this. We did that. Okay, it's all in order here. Real estate, how's the market? Real estate experts know the market conditions. So let's talk about those, get familiar with those as they are today. And what's different today? Well, we have a slight change in the interest rate. Let's look at the chart. Interest rate 6.65 today. And the chart looks like this. And this chart only goes back, this goes back to 4/1, so it's about a year of what's been going on. And that's the story in everybody's mind, is that over the past year, it's done that. But look at the stability. Look how it's come back down and gone up and come down and gone up. All right.
Right.
This is a good chart. It explains what's happening. It's never going back to 4. It's never well, no, it's not. It shouldn't. It should
It's never going back to 2.
never go back to 2. That's correct.
Yes.
If it goes back to 4, I suppose that's possible.
Is it typical for interest rates to be a little bit lower at the beginning of a year?
I don't know.
Just wondering.
That's a good research question. Well,
I don't think so, but
I don't either. I think it has more to do with like,
The economy.
the economy.
yeah, and it has more to do with maybe election times and things like that too.
Right, right. Bigger swaths of time than just a year. Yeah.
it is, yeah, you're right. It is a political thing. They say it's not. They say it's separate, but nothing is separate. You know, nothing is separate from politics, because the Fed does have some, well, probably quite a bit of control over this. That's what the Fed is for. All right. And inflation, I'm still looking for the latest numbers on inflation. We're still got the January number, which is similar to the December number, but even lower still. So inflation is dropping, which is what we want. And that's just more stability to get out of this very high inflation area. We're getting back
Yeah,
into more normal.
I paid $2.85 for a gallon of gas.
Really?
That was low, yeah.
That is nice.
That's low.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't have the new ones yet. I still have the January reports from the multiple listing services. We'll have February up there as soon as they're available. You know, I love to go through those and look at what's new, what the new stats are. And Kuhn will tell us what the economist has to say about interest rates.
Let's see, interest rates. So let's see, mortgage rates started the month rising to nearly 6.7%. Strong economic data and elevated inflation are the two main reasons mortgage rates have risen for the last 4 straight weeks. According to Freddie Mac, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage increased to 6.65% from 6.5% the previous week. Will these higher rates affect the spring buying season? We don't know. Higher mortgage rates have a direct impact on borrowing costs, hurting affordability. At today's rates, buyers need to put more than 20% down if they don't want to be cost burdened. However, data shows that the housing market will likely pick up in the coming months. Contract signings, an indicator for home sales, rose significantly for the second straight month. And if inflation eases faster than expectations, mortgage rates could decrease to the low range of 6%. NAR forecasts home sales to increase by 5 percentage points in the second quarter of the year. And even with this increase, however, activity will remain lower than a year ago.
Lower than a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. For how long?
We don't know.
When do we get back to normal?
Right. We'll have to play it month by month and quarter by quarter, but we'll see.
Economist is the only profession that is asked to predict the future.
Mhm.
And the weatherman.
And the
Right.
weatherman, yeah, but the weatherman's right sometimes.
And neither one of them are right very often.
Right. What did it say? Strong economic data and elevated inflation are the main reasons. That's interesting because I thought inflation was going down. I thought it was getting under control, but maybe it's referring to the past.
Right.
And put 20% down. It'd be nice to put 20% down, but we all know there's the extra cost if you're not able to do that.
Right. Mortgage insurance.
Mortgage insurance, which is a chunk. All right. Excellent. All right. How is the market? And for those of you new to this meeting or haven't been here in a while, we do a little role play quickly so that we can hear these words and hear them several times, because this is your elevator speech. Because in your profession, you'll be asked this very question, and you may be asked this very question right after you leave this meeting. How's the market? And Kuhn, how is the market in your area?
Well, let's see, home prices are beginning to show signs of cooling as buyers have pulled back due to mortgage rates increasing last year. And this is starting to convince sellers to lower their sales price. Average days on the market is 65 days, and median home prices have decreased 4.4% over last year. The median home sold price in the metro area is $489,500, and interest rates are currently at 6.65%. But they're expected to fluctuate over time. There are still more people looking to buy than there are homes available, so it's still a very good time to list.
Excellent. Excellent. Shauna, how is Clark County and Vancouver, Washington?
Home prices are beginning to show signs of cooling as buyers have pulled back due to mortgage rates increasing last year, which is starting to convince sellers to lower their sales price. Average days on market is 56 days and median home prices have decreased 1.2% over last year. The median home sold price in the metro area is $494,000. Interest rates are currently 6.65% and are expected to fluctuate over time. There are still more people looking to buy than there are homes available, so it is a very good time to list.
All right. It is still a seller's market. It's still a seller's market because of the low inventory. You can't build them fast enough. Cheryl, how's Cowlitz County and Longview Kelso?
I'm gonna defer to someone else.
I'll do it.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Nick.
We're doing Cowlitz, right? Can you make that a
Yeah.
small bit bigger? Home prices are beginning to show, okay. Home prices are beginning to show signs of cooling as buyers have pulled back due to mortgage rates increasing last year, which is starting to convince sellers to lower their sales price. In January of 2023, there were 77 new listings taken and 53 properties sold. Active listings were 173. Average days on the market is 98 days. The median home sold price in the area is $362,000 and is up 9% over last year. Interest rates are currently 6.65 and are expected to fluctuate over time. There are still more people looking than there are homes available, so you definitely could list your home and your buyers will have more wiggle room. So it's the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you say 9% increase or 0.9?
Oh, 0.9, sorry, correction, 0.9.
Oh, God, I thought I was
5% would
rich.
be wild. Can't afford to live in Longview anymore.
Used to be 9%. Now it's,
Well, live in Seattle at this point. Right.
yeah, what's happening is prices are going down slowly. Slow descent on prices.
Right.
And who do we have in Idaho? Francie?
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh, thank you. How's the market?
So in Idaho, home prices are beginning to show signs of cooling as buyers have pulled back due to mortgage rates increasing last year, which is starting to convince sellers to lower their sales price. Average days on the market is 74 days and home prices have decreased 3.5% over the last year. The median home list price in the metro area is $529,900. Interest rates are currently 6.65 and are expected to fluctuate upwards over time. There are still more people looking to buy than there are homes available, and it is still a good time to list.
All right. Thank you. That actually does have a decrease in the Idaho area.
It's a wild ride in the Treasure Valley. Put on those seatbelts.
It is.
It's up, it's down, it's all over. But you know what? That plane's gonna land. We'll be all right.
Right. Hey, Grant, can you hear me? Grant Keltner?
Yeah,
How are you?
good. You?
Very good. Very good. Wanted to introduce Grant Keltner. He's a new agent in the Portland office, and he's sitting in the Portland office right now. And did you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah, hello. I was going to say I appreciate everything that everyone's done, and I had a few haves and wants. I wasn't sure if I could address that, John.
Oh, please do. Come look at the camera. The camera's at the top of your screen.
Kind of at the top.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking is that I have a potential listing coming on the market with a lot in Multnomah Village in Southwest Portland. And I also have a potential listing with a buy side up to around 600,000 in Southwest Portland in the Maplewood neighborhood. And I also have some potential property on Southwest Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, and 3 acres. It's zoned commercial right now, but it can be switched to mixed use, which I think would be a better choice for the investment. And I'll know more about that probably next week. And so I just wanted to say thanks again.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah. Keep an eye on that if anybody has any people who'd be interested in that.
Yeah, and meet with us after the meeting, Grant, and we can discuss that further if needed.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's next on our agenda. I know there's some fun stuff going on here. All right, today we're going to talk about today and probably next week. We would talk about negotiating. Is something good realtors are good at. And so there's more here that we can get through today. And so I'll let Cheryl and Shauna decide what they would like to talk about today.
We kind of got together and combined ours into one. We're doing negotiating tips and negotiate like a ninja. Because a lot of these are the same information, just in different formats. So we're going to do it together.
Excellent.
We don't even need anything on the screen if you don't want to do that.
2 ninjas are better than 1.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, so negotiating. So we're just going to talk a little bit about some tips just to make negotiating go easier and faster for everyone. Ultimately, successful negotiations are when both parties walk away feeling like they won something that was important to them. You know, then on Shauna's.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can talk a little bit because we're always in negotiating with people, you know, throughout our life, and just part of it is just being around other people and negotiating. Like it could be something as simple as what you're going to have for dinner. The number one way to win negotiation is to figure out what they want and find out a way to get that to them. Negotiation is simply an exchange of value. Getting anyone to anything comes down to identifying why they would want to. What is winning to them? And that's kind of the first part of what you have too, Cheryl.
Yeah, don't assume you know what's important to the other side. You got to ask those questions. You know, find out what the other side is. You know, ask the questions and then listen to the answers. Don't be too aggressive and talk too much. Ask the questions instead. As a buyer's agent, what does the seller want? What's most important to them? This builds a working relationship with the other agent. And negotiating is not just the terms, it's also the rapport you have with the other agent. You know,
Yeah.
you want to enjoy it.
Yeah, and you want to a good way to get to that decision is to put yourself in their position. Like how would you feel if you were them? And that's going to help you also figure out what's important to them and what risks are they taking. I mean, a lot of times when I'm talking to other agents and they're saying, well, you know, what should we do? It's like, well, what would you do if it was you? It was your house or your situation. So that's a good way to get to know what would be more important to them, is try to put yourself in their position.
Yeah, don't want to be too aggressive. You know, attitude is everything. Like I think Shauna had in hers a little bit more. Don't be if you approach it like a battle, they're gonna, you know, armor up.
Right.
it starts with the first word. The other side will typically tell you what is really important. Perhaps it's not the price, maybe it's the closing date. Maybe they need to be out by a certain time. Maybe if they can't get where they want to go by a certain date, it'll cause them, hardship or pain. Price is always important, but maybe you can coach the agent into helping their client help your client.
Oh,
So you're you're working the other agent as well as the sellers or buyers. And another good tip is solve non-money issues first, which kind of falls into there.
Yes, definitely.
You mean get the easy stuff out of the way?
Yes.
right.
And keep trading. Give those little gifts like Shauna has in hers.
Yeah, you
Oh,
give something to get something.
There's probably going to be one point that's always the issue, so that's nice. Get the other stuff out of the way and you can focus on the one thing.
And change your mindset on how you look at those things. I think we all aim for like a nice, easy peasy close. And rather than go, oh, something came up, look at it as, oh, what an exciting challenge. This person wants the house. This person wants to sell the house. This little tiff came up. Let's just figure it out. Look at it differently. Perception and mind, the way you look at things is huge.
Yeah, and along with that, just when you're asking the questions that your client wants to know, the way you ask them might be, instead of saying the roof needs a lot of work, maybe you can say, hey, does the seller know anything about the roof? Maybe they've already had an estimate of the repairs or something. If you don't ask the questions, they're probably not going to tell you. So asking questions and small little shifts can influence more positive dialogue if you're not saying, like all the things that are wrong with the house. That kind of gets them in defensive mode.
Right.
Have to excuse me a little bit. I know I'm recovering from COVID. I think I'm good, but I sometimes run out of breath.
Well, and Cheryl, continuing with what you were just saying, it's like you want to be a positive person in it and not being like, oh, the roof. You just want to be a little bit more, like, well, the roof looks like it's got some deferred maintenance, and there's been some questions by the buyer on, does your seller know? And just go, with a positive attitude instead of, like, oh, they're going to have to give us some money. The first time that happens with an inspector, then you probably will be the last time you work with them, because, they're not supposed to be in that part of the negotiation. They're just supposed to supply you with the information. So just keep it positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. Remain optimistic, communicate clearly, and listen. Like Shauna said, put yourself in their position. Most of us that have, been doing this for a while have been on the other side, so we know what it's like. So if you just kind of think of it that way, if you were on the other side, how would you feel about someone saying, your roof looks terrible, this looks terrible, you want to keep it positive.
Right, because we are doing it every day. Other people aren't. And I know we've all forgotten sometimes that, our buyers or sellers, or if you're helping a family member, whatever it might be, they don't do this every day. So try to be a little bit compassionate, like we deal with roof problems all the time. So, sometimes the deal doesn't work, sometimes it does, but to the people that are on the other side of the negotiations, it means a lot.
Right. And these homes might have a deep history with their families and so on,
Yes. I once sold a house for a lady. She had lived in the house for 50 years. She got it brand new.
Right.
And she was selling it. Her husband had died, and so it was every little piece of that house was a memory.
Right.
She was very defensive, but we sat down nicely and she came around to all the little things. It wasn't
right.
So you can be proactive too. explain those things to your clients, about what's gonna happen. Don't react to the other side's offer or anything. Be proactive and explain to your seller, try to keep the emotions out of it, and that'll help a lot too.
It's good to do your homework too ahead of time, right?
Yeah,
So you want, go ahead.
use the market data to support your offer, not my buyer wants, don't say my buyer wants this and this and this, but they've seen this on the market, what information can I give you that will help your seller understand this? You can look at market data and stuff to help your cause.
Right. And if it is some kind of repair or something, it doesn't hurt for you to get a little bit of information ahead of time. Call your favorite contractor, ask them, what does this typically cost? A lot of times they'll give you that kind of information, as long as you're not quoting them. And just get some information before you go to negotiate that repair, or, if it's money instead, that kind of thing. And just be patient and don't try to rush through it, because one of the things that you have, Cheryl, says never negotiate through text or email. And
Yeah.
that, go ahead. Sorry.
The other agent wants the deal done as well, so build a rapport with them, find common ground, and don't, it's so easy to misunderstand in a text or email. It's better, just like, when you're contacting clients, you want to talk to them on the phone at least, if not face to face.
Right, because how can you sound positive like, well, the roof has got to be removed, you can't say that nicely in a text. You have to put, I know when I'm in negotiations with another agent and I'm feeling not so great about the communications because we're doing it, I'll pick up the phone and call them, or they'll call me and I'll pick it up and I'll be happy to talk to them. And they're almost surprised, like we're in the middle of a negotiation, but none of this is personal. It's just trying to help everybody past one part of the transaction.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of times you can smooth things over by talking to the other agent. And there's some words you can use there too, like we agree on this, you can point out the things we agree on. We've accomplished this so far, here's the things that we've worked out already, and then move on to the other things. Along with that one is take a moment to strategize ahead of time. I think we talked about this a little bit. Plan out what you're going to say and remind if you're working with the sellers, remind them, you can say something like, I want to remind you before we look at this offer, there's 3 options. We can take the offer, we can reject, or we can counter, which is a rejection and they could walk away if you counter. So remind them of that. Just give them the options about what's gonna.
Yeah, that will take a lot of stress off of them if they know the different things that can happen and they're relying on you to help them through that. So it's really important to educate them from the very beginning, I think, too.
Yeah. And another thing, I would always encourage my clients to counter. Sometimes they're emotionally attached and they get really offended or whatever. No matter how low the offer is, you can always counter. You can counter back with full price if that's what your client wants or whatever, but you never know the negotiating style of the other party. Maybe they're willing to pay full price, but they just think they should try for a lower price just to see if you'll take it.
Yeah, I always say to my buyers, you don't know unless you ask, and you won't get it unless you ask. They're not going to give you anything. You have to ask for it. So on the buyer's part of that, you also might want to ask for more than what you're actually expecting in your negotiation, because you're going to get, maybe somewhere in the middle. And then again, there's other situations where you just have to use your intuition and kind of read the situation. Sometimes you want to give them something you think they're going to accept and just move past it. So that's why the communication has to be verbal a lot of times and not on email.
Right. And you've got 2 negotiation phases. You've got the price stage, and then you've got the repair stage. So if they drop at 25,000 for you, let your client know, hey, well, when we go into repair stage, they're likely not going to do much for you if they gave you a massive discount to start. You just bought the house.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of things that, like we said earlier, we deal with things every day and we're used to it and we forget that, our clients haven't. So you need to kind of remind them of things like that.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, tell them right up front. Remember, there's two major negotiations. There's the price and then there's the repairs. And some people will say, well, okay, I'll take this price, but tell them we're not going to do any repairs.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, you tell them that, but that doesn't mean they're not going to ask.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because if you say, okay, and don't say that what you just said at the end of that, well, we can always say that, but they have every right to do whatever they want, and most likely they will. So they're ready for that. And if you decide you don't want to move forward after that, that's fine. But this is
Yeah.
something that they can do.
Yeah, I know a lot of people get confused when they'll put in as is, like this, I wanted this to be as is. And so they think there's no negotiating with that. And sometimes even if the listing says as is, sometimes they will negotiate a little bit. And I know of a situation where the buyer walked away when the seller had as is in there. And then the seller's agent said, well, why didn't you, make an offer? Why didn't you ask us to fix these things? Well, sometimes you just have to ask. So
Right. Don't
Yeah,
forget.
as is, it's interesting. As is actually in the text of all the
Yeah.
contracts. Because it covers everything that wasn't negotiated.
Yeah.
So yeah, as is doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
They should call it as if.
Yeah. As if.
I love that.
So, yeah, I mean, Shauna might have some other things, but ultimately, like we said, the best negotiations and when it's a success is when both sides walk away feeling like they won something and everybody's happy. So.
Yeah, the last thing on here is enjoy it. Attitude is everything. If you approach it like a battle, it will be picked up by the other party. They will then react, like you were saying. So, have a good time with it. And the better attitude you have, the most likely you'll come to a better resolution.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Match their tone and read the room.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have to get tough, but
Right.
most of the time you don't.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about probably the thing that causes most stress is the repairs, and that's where perhaps the most deals fall apart is negotiating over the repairs. So I think everybody who's been in the business just a little while has seen there's two different types of requests for repairs. One is 2 bullet points, do this and do that, please. And one is a page or a page and a half or 2 pages with the home inspection attached, and says fix line 7 of the home inspection and nickel and dime you to death. Talk about that. What's the how do you deal with those when you get them, and what should you do?
Oh, man. On either side, I usually try to condense it as much as I can, even if I have to list a few bullet points.
Group them together, like all the electrical, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just group everything together the most you can. And I mean, I've been in situations where I'm horrified at what my buyer wants to ask for. It's just, sometimes you think, oh no, they want a brand new house. And it's just go through it line by line and work through it, because honestly, that's what they expect you to do sometimes, so you're gonna have to do it. And the more the more descriptive you are, the more clear you are, the more likely the chance of it that it will be accepted. If you are, I mean, a lot of times we've had discussions before about vague comments on inspections, like fix the siding. You know, something that vague is never going to get signed. You have to be very specific, and it's very challenging in Washington when you cannot give any part of the inspection without written request from the seller. So it's, and I think out of respect, a lot of people in Oregon don't hand over inspections either, if I'm correct. You just do the best you can to be descriptive.
That's a good point, Shauna. That's one that I have come up against time and again. And actually, we just had a page laundry list on Lilac. But we end up having to rewrite the inspection and our response back because it's so vague. Yeah, so that's something I actually just did. And you're right, vague is the key word there. And depending on the agent, like a lot of them just don't know how to write an inspection response.
They're lazy, and that's part of it. They're not doing their homework. They're not spending the time and being patient with it. And it's, if you're on the buy side or the sell side, it can be bad either way. If you write a bad inspection for your buyer, response for your buyer, you might end up getting nothing done that you really wanted. And if you agree to that as a seller, you have no idea what they're expecting. It's just a big mistake all around.
Super important to be very specific on what you want. I had one time that said we want the chimney inspected, was one of the things. Okay, well, we inspected it, but that doesn't mean we had to fix anything. So
That's right. I remember that one.
Right, what they want done. Like this last one, they just really copied and pasted parts of the inspection. Like they'd note what was wrong, but they wouldn't ask for the fix. So, and my seller did just say, okay, well, they're just telling us this. They didn't ask for anything. So we'll just cross that off.
Right. Make sure you're clear. If not, you're just mentioning it. Right, right.
That's why it's written. It really does reveal a realtor who's new to the business or incompetent, frankly. It's all about training. You got to counsel your client to choose their battles. Let's say there's some dry rot throughout the house. I think that's probably one of the most important things. And then there's a bucket list of things that don't add up to $800. Okay, I'd ask for the dry rot.
Right.
yeah. And it's so funny when you have clients too, because you never know what thing they're going to be hung up on. I remember having a client one time, like the most important thing for her was to get a new screen door on the sliding door or whatever, when there was like real things wrong with the house, and she was hung up on the screen door. And
You're like, I'll get you a screen door.
yeah, the seller was too. And I was like, I'll pay for the screen door. You know, it's not a big deal. What ended up happening. It was like, the deal's going to fall apart if we don't get the screen door. You never know.
Right. Let's just get the screen door.
I'm with John. I'm hung up on the dry rot. Nobody wants that.
Right.
No, because it's an unknown. When you start digging into dry rot, you don't know where it ends. It's like cancer. You got your fingers crossed. So let the seller take that burden on.
Yes.
But another interesting thing for our new agents here is, what do you do? I think it's really important for the managers here to mention, okay, say you have an agent that either is incompetent or maybe they're just simply new. On the other side, who do you approach if they're screwing up the deal to save the deal for no particular reason and save the clients? Like, for instance, I was selling a house years ago and I was relatively new, and the other agent came to me, and she was the buyer side, I was listing side, and she came to me and she said, here's a list of things I want you to do. And she sent me off to like get estimates. And I'm like, so I went to John and I was like, am I supposed to be doing all this legwork and so on? And he was like, well, no, because they're buyer side. They would want to know what they want to ask for and what, you're giving me this. And I thought, this seems odd. So, you don't want to overstep your bounds because you can't speak for the other client. So realize it might be a point if you really think it's going to fail the public to speak to a principal broker on the other side to see if you can get it under control. And this isn't about money and closing a house. This is protecting the interest of a client. I mean, that sale fell through that time. My lister lost the house sale, and it did sell the last time, but those people also lost the potential to buy a cottage they actually wanted to remodel. She had told me the story, and so I felt bad. It was a couple that was like, I want to remodel this historic cottage. Well, it fell apart, and it would have been their cottage. So this is heavy stuff.
Yes, this is, oh yeah, this is where we really get into it. This
That's
is
why I say,
skills.
I always have said, you put everything in writing. You
Yeah.
don't negotiate over the phone. You don't do this and that with the other agents. They make forms for a reason, and you
Yes.
use your forms and
Right.
you use the words.
Right. When you
It
get down
covers
to the
everybody
nitty-gritty,
in the whole transaction.
yeah, get it into the get it into the negotiations, and then go to somebody else if you need to save the clients.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I have good news. We're going to pick up this topic again next week and talk about it a little bit more. But it's a good discussion, and it's one of my favorite discussions because there's so much to say about it, and everybody can relate to it because this is one of the most important things you do.
Right.
It's why we make the money we make.
Oh, there you go.
Right there.
Right. And this is what sometimes the public doesn't understand, that this is a very, very important business, and
Well, very good. Well, thank you, everybody. I'll let you get back to work. Enjoy the snow if that's what you're dealing with.
all right.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Have a good week.
Bye. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, John, can you leave the room open? I have somebody coming in for an interview here in a second.
No, I have to close it.
Oh, right. Okay. That's okay. I can